Ya.
Okay.
Entonces, no te desconectes.
Pero quito el micrófono, el mudo el micrófono.
Y la pantalla, y quita la pantalla, y ya.
Sergio?
Ando, Sergio. Háblale, Sergio.
Trina, I think you're ready now, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, I'll go ahead and
Okay.
get started now.
Sorry about everything. And thank you.
No.
Bye-bye.
No problem.
I'm back.
As we can see, there's a lot of teamwork that happens in small federations as well. So that's one good thing that we've been able to accomplish today. We've had a lot of teamwork going on. So good evening,
Yes.
everyone. I'm so pleased to be able to present to you the strategic management for small archery federations. And I know that we've used up a bit of time, and I'm going to try not to run through too quickly, but again, the presentation will be available to you. And at any time, if you have any questions thereafter, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to have that discussion with you. But what we are going to focus on is the tailored approaches for small archery federations. We'll discuss some key areas, including internal management, grassroots development, tournament organization, promotional activities, and partnerships to foster success and sustainable growth. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this gives an outline of the 6 different key items that we will be discussing or reviewing this evening. And then we'll go to the next slide. So we're going to be talking about strong internal management, which forms the foundation for any federation success. And we'll move on to the next slide. So this structure is something that many of you are probably already familiar with, because a good sports governing body must have a diverse and well-defined leadership structure that enables fairness, accountability, expertise across its functions. So you have a president, you have board of directors, you have the CEO, you have a secretary general. So many of you will have these positions in place in your federations, and some of the other specialized roles such as a compliance manager, officials manager, director of athlete health and wellness, a director of sports. Some of these you may have or may not have. But again, these are some of the most important roles that you would want to have within your federation. So you're looking at executive leadership, administrative and operational management, and specialized and technical roles. Let me go to the next page, Sharon. And another important role is the inclusion of diversity and exclusivity and diversity rules. We'll move on to the next page. So the executive board positions. So your president leads the organization, your secretary general manages the strategic relations and works very closely with the president, the vice president, and which can also be your director of championships, oversees major events. You have your treasurer who looks at your financial health. You have your director of communications that helps with any media relations and public image. Compliance officer ensures fair play and rule adherence, because you will have some rules within your organization based on your constitution and bylaws. Your officials manager, your manager of inclusion, which is fostering diversity and community engagement, and of course an athlete representative, which gives the voice of the athlete. So your constitution and bylaws are very vital for a small organization, as they provide a structure and transparent framework. And that guides and governs the decision-making and the operations. And so the clarity of these roles and responsibilities ensures accountability, protects members' rights, and additionally, these documents help to manage conflicts, maintain consistency, ultimately supporting the Federation's sustainability and growth. And this page is actually explaining that. Thank you, Sharon. We could go on to the next page. So the importance of a 4-year strategic plan. So a 4-year strategic plan is crucial for an archery federation or for any sport federation, as it lays out a clear vision and a roadmap for the future growth. It helps align resources and stakeholders towards common goals, and the plan also allows the federation to anticipate challenges, adapt to changes, and looks at the sustainable development of programs. So by setting measurable objectives, it forces accountability and tracks progress over time. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to stop me. Okay, so now moving on to building robust governance structures. So as I mentioned, they should be transparent for the decision-making. There should be clear roles and responsibilities, and the policies for operational efficiency should be well established and underpin the operational efficiency and consistent governance in your small federation. So governance structures ensure transparent decision-making, as I mentioned, and it's important that you have these in place. So financial planning and resource management. So of course, in order for us to attend events or to grow our federation, there's the importance of having financial planning and the resources that's going to help. So we can't do much without funding. So you want to make sure that you have effective financial planning, which ensures the long-term success of your organization and your federations. And if I look at the federation here in Bermuda, that's one of the reasons why it failed. It's been in place since 1969, it has been in place, and it failed after several years. It wasn't until a few of us decided that we wanted to reestablish this association. We had to put a lot of hard work into making it work. So it included making sure that we had budgets, that we had different income streams that were going to be coming in, that we understood what our risks were going to be. And we also made sure that we had to maximize what we had in resources and who else is going to be able to assist us with that. Not all the time you're going to be able to find a treasurer that has a background in finance, but if you can find someone that does, they're really going to help with the planning of your financial growth around sponsorships, etc. That's going to come a little later within the presentation. Okay, Sarah, if you want to move to the next page. So volunteers. Majority of us are volunteers. Our federations, for many of us, we're a charity. And so the importance of volunteers helps our organizations to work. So we value our volunteers because they're the essential assets to our organization and have a significant community impact. One of the things that we had to do in Bermuda was help to train our volunteers so that they, one, understood the sport, even if they didn't participate in it, understand what our mission and our vision was, so that they actually carry that out as volunteers, so that they understood and people understood why they were volunteering for us. So we may ensure that they have training that helped to boost their confidence, and it also improved the overall performance for when we held events or when we were even traveling. We had volunteers that came along with us to help out. Recognition and motivation is so important for our volunteers. So when you have team meetings and some of those volunteers are present, recognizing what they've done and encouraging them gives you that ongoing commitment. Of course, as much as we would like to pay some of our volunteers, it's hard to do that because, again, we are looking at the financial stability of the organization. So that motivational factor of having a lunch for them one day, just to thank them for their participation in setting up for a tournament, even getting them involved, giving them a day of archery, a fun day of archery, just planning something that helps them to recognize that all the hard work that they put in to bring your association where it is today is very valued and appreciated. And then there's the opportunities for growth for them, because some of those loyal volunteers can be part of your team, helping out in other areas, or could be your potential president or secretary general or treasurer or vice president. And so a lot of the parents that may show up to events and help may have backgrounds that may easily fit into your succession planning when you want to make sure that there's sufficient people out there to help your organization to continue to grow. It doesn't help if you just have the same people there forever without them passing on knowledge to others, because when those individuals decide that it's time for them to move on, it's sometimes very hard to fill that gap. So as you introduce people to the sport, really find out what their interest is, what else they can possibly do, because then you can start that succession planning for the next person that's going to be the president that might have been your secretary general. So how do you fill that position with the new secretary general almost immediately? So as you start training people up, that helps you to be ready for those changes in your association. Next page. So we're moving on to developing grassroots, and growing participation at the grassroots level strengthens your sport base. And this section highlights strategies to engage communities, train coaches, and create accessible entry points for new archers. So a lot of that is done within our communities and our schools. Just getting out there, visiting the schools, finding out what the activities are for the kids in PE, and how do you introduce archery into that school. Now, for a lot of NSGBs, or sports governing bodies, as I will call you right now, being the national sports governing bodies for archery, you may have some difficulties getting into the schools. If you have a relationship with the principal or the PE instructor, they can be an in for you, or a parent that comes to your archery and the kid actually goes to a school, finding out how can you get your way in for that development. The other way is organized outreach events and workshops that engage young people to spark their interest. So every year, Olympic Day is celebrated. And I'm not sure how your NOCs in your various countries actually manage Olympic Day. But one of the things we've done in Bermuda is to make sure that archery has been very accessible at Olympic Day, getting young people to come in and try it. And this is what's starting to grow our population of archers in Bermuda for the future. Next slide. So we talked about getting archery into schools, but then we need to make sure that we're training coaches and instructors as well, because we can't be everywhere. And so having quality coaches directly impacts the athlete's growth and performance in sports. Giving that education to the coaches through the federations invest for us having the best coaching skills and the best knowledge to transition that into even future coaches for your national teams. And the certification of safety, which is so important because you want to ensure that your coaches provide safe and effective training and the environment is safe for athletes. There are a few people in Bermuda that are, and I can only use us as the example, that are coaching archery that haven't been properly instructed. And so we are inviting them in to go through a coaching session. And as we are going into the schools, we're also looking at how do we certify the PE teachers that are there and want to be certified. And that's the main thing, that we want to ensure that people want to be certified to do the role so that we can continue to grow the sport in the country. Next slide. So again, we're looking at how we're creating accessible entry points for new athletes. And one of the ways that we also have to look at how do we remove those barriers for individuals that want to participate and can't. And a lot of it comes from cost of equipment. And so if we want to get more people to join, we need to look at how can we help them in that regard. And I know in the past, many of us have had the opportunity to receive grants for equipment, either through our NOCs or through our ministries of sport, and even through World Archery, who have helped us tremendously in getting started with a lot of our programs with equipment from Hoyt and Easton, and also discounts. And then beginner-friendly sessions, so offering tailored sessions that help newcomers learn and engage comfortably with the sport. Kids want to have fun, and the only way kids have fun is if we make it fun for them. So all the pressure that sometimes comes with sports from parents, we want to make sure that the kids see the fun part of it, and as they start to learn about it more, they develop into what will become our next level of archers. And then the support with rental equipment. So not all the time we can give equipment, but we can always rent equipment. And that also becomes an income generator for your organization. If you're holding small classes, they're renting the equipment, and you figure out what's a best course to do so. Next slide. So this is a little small, not sure how big it's showing up on the screen. But one of the things that we did in Bermuda was create a long-term athlete development model, which we then called a long-term archer development model. And it takes you through 7 stages of a framework: shoot for fun, shoot to excel, shoot for life. And it's all explained here how we do it. So I don't want to go through the full page on this, but different stages that they will go through over a 3-week program into the next level, so on and so forth. But what we've actually recognized is when we started off as shoot for fun, kids become so interested that they want to come back to do the next lesson and the next lesson and the next lesson. And one of the things that we focus on is the skill development and the age-appropriate activities and games. And there's so many fun archery games that you can do with them, but also making sure that we're using the right equipment so that we don't have young people holding really large bows and they're not ready for that type of equipment. So one of the other things that Bermuda did was we contacted our Ministry of Sport to advise them that we want to socialize our long-term athlete plan throughout Bermuda so that we can have more kids involved in the sport of archery. And so they had to understand our development pathway, and that enabled us to obtain resources to help us grow the sport. So we now have received training and financial support, giving us well-structured programs and instruction, not only for the participants, but for parents and new instructors that are coming on board. Next slide. And then here are the other archery programs that we currently offer that has some support from our Ministry of Sport and also our NOC. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next slide, which talks about league play and organizing archery tournaments. So well-run tournaments raise the Federation's profile. It provides competitive opportunities. And this section will focus on logistics, officiating, technology, and the use of using technology during event management. So there's always a starting point when it comes to league play. And so you want to enhance the skills and techniques of your archers. You want to familiarize them with the rules. You want them to gain experience through the league and local tournaments. There's the mental preparation, and then you get them ready for the international events. So there's always a pathway. Even though sometimes people want to rush through that pathway, you want to make sure that your athletes are ready, and then they would actually demonstrate their readiness. That actually comes back through the results that you actually achieve, enabling you to go forward again to your Ministry of Sports, to your NOCs, to actually showcase what has happened through your school leagues, through your club leagues, through the Caribbean Development League that is actually held. This will be the fourth year that we'll be going into it next year, and then the CDC, and so on and so forth. So they get to see the progression of those athletes and the investment that they're making into the sport. So remember, there's always the starting point, which starts with league play going up to tournaments. The next slide. So the planning, logistics, and safety. I picked this picture because I was recently in Korea and I just loved the setup that they had there. I wish I could have just packaged it up and put it in my suitcase and brought it back home, but that wasn't going to be possible. But venue preparation is so important when you're actually planning your tournaments. The proper setup ensures safe and efficient environment for all participants. And when anything can happen, you want to make sure that you have volunteers and others on hand to make sure that things stay safe. And in Korea, it did rain quite a bit, and they needed to get volunteers together to dig trenches, to make sure that the water is flowing off of the archery field and not causing any issues for the participants. So again, it goes back to when you're planning those tournaments, all those logistics with your volunteers are so important. And scheduling management, detailed schedules enables a smooth flow for the events, avoids conflicts during the tournament, and having your emergency protocols. Clear emergency procedures are essential to ensure that everyone is safe during the event for the unseen that can actually materialize. Next slide. Fair and consistent officiating of events. Competition integrity, that's the one thing that I think about. Training your qualified officials and applying rules transparently are essential to these practices. So integrity, consistent and unbiased officiating maintains trust and fairness in all competitions. So it's so important that we have judges in place, we train them sufficiently, and as Sergio had spoken to us in one of the prior webinars, the importance of making sure that we are having our judges, our officials certified at least every 2 years or as rules change. So making that investment as well in your federation is so important. And there are grants through your NOCs that you can utilize to help with those investments as well. Next slide, Sharon. Leveraging technology for the event. So software registration, having automated events are fantastic. And not all the time you're able to do so. And I know for us, when we first started out, we was just using the regular paper scorecard, bringing it up and having it validated
Kita bumea.
and double checking with,
Kita bumea.
okay, someone's not on mute. Okay, sorry. So when we first started having our tournaments, software was nowhere in the mix, but we've gradually started to use Enzeo with our phones to actually record the scores on the app, and then it transfers over into a main spreadsheet, and then we're validating that with the official scorecard that is used. But if you can't have it at the beginning, it doesn't mean that you can't have an effective tournament using just your paper scorecard. Communication tools, integrated communication platforms facilitate seamless integration among participants and organizers. And it gives us the readiness of how you move on to the next levels in a competition. Next slide. Promotional activities and social media. Effective promotion increases visibility and attracts participants and sponsors. And this section is helping you to craft campaigns, use digital platforms, and engaging social local media. So again, marketing can cost money, but you can use social media to help mitigate a lot of that cost. But first of all, you want to make sure you have clear messaging, that people understand what you're trying to trying to articulate to them. And then you want to have those campaigns targeted around the right audience so that you can maximize the engagement and the impact. And if we move on to the next slide. So cost-effective management is your social media. It's affordable. It connects to almost everyone that is now utilizing this tool. You can let them know what's going on in your organization. You can let them know when tournaments are coming up. You can showcase how your athletes are doing. And believe you me, a lot of the large businesses are on social media. So once they continuously see what's going on, you can start targeting who do you want to go and have a conversation with about funding, sponsorship, sharing updates. Your platform allows timely updates to be shared easily, keeping followers informed and connected. You're building an online community through social media, and that interaction is there for everyone to see. The next connectivity, if we go to the next slide, is our media. And having that relationship with your media, they help to spread it even further for you. Because who's not involved in looking at the news? And so I made sure that I sat down with our local media, all three persons that manage the sports, and I will let them know before I'm traveling, where I'm going, what we're doing, who's going, and then I will feed them little bits and pieces back, but also advise them where they can go to see the scores of the athletes or what the results are for a training camp that we're going to, how well that worked out. So having that relationship with your local media is so important because they would increase your coverage to the public. They will also raise an awareness that you would not be able to do solely on your own because they have a broader outreach and sponsors actually reach out to them. So we had an experience where a not-for-profit reached out to the media and said, I understand that there was archery going on. There was going to be a camp being held. And I would like to be an anonymous donor and donate money to this archery association. Of course, we made sure we did our due diligence as best as we can to determine where the funds were coming from. They were legitimate funds from a legitimate source, and we were able to invite 4 kids that couldn't afford to go to a camp during the summer into our program. So that outreach of how they are spreading the word about archery in Bermuda has helped us to not only get some funding coming in, but also bringing some new kids into our program that otherwise were not going to do it because they couldn't afford it. Next slide. So partnerships with our national sports organizations. So I'm going to ask a quick question, and I just want you to hit your button or raise your hand just to say how many of you have a relationship with your NOC or your Ministry of Sport. Okay, so I'm not seeing any hands raised. 1, okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Junior. Nikhil, thank you. So that's great that many of you do have a relationship with your National Olympic Association and your Ministry of Sport. They hold the purse strings to quite a bit, and understanding that they are also supporting other sports, the sooner you get in with your plan, the sooner you will get recognized for the financial support that you would need. So it's so important to engage with them because they will actually help your sport to grow. Even on their pages, they will socialize your sport. So one of the things that we did when we reestablished the NOC here in Bermuda, we had to clarify what the rules were going to be between the NOC, the Ministry of Sport. They outlined their requirements to us. We actually shared with them what archery was, because they did not have a clue on the sport. And once they got an understanding about what their roles and responsibilities will be for us and what we will need to do to be a part of their sport organization, the effective collaboration started. And I also want to thank Phil Graves, who came to Bermuda a few years ago as well. And I actually took him around to meet the Minister of Sport, the president of the NOC, and he was able to validate everything that I had shared and the president had shared as to how archery is growing in Bermuda and within the region. We also shared our strategic plan, such an important document to have, because everyone wants to know, if we're giving you money, what are you going to do with it, and how is it going to help the young people to develop? But not only that, archery, I look at it as a sport for life. So it still helps people to move, to be active. And once we shared our plan with them, and we saw that it aligned with the goals of our Ministry of Sport and our NOC, we were able to foster an even better relationship. And we've been able to get consistent funding for our programs that we're hosting. So we've completed our quadrennial plan for 2025 through to 2028. Our Ministry of Sport has it, as well as our NOC. They know the direction we're going. They know that we're going to be coming to them for funding for certain things, and we'll be having that discussion even further going into January. Next slide. So again, securing funding through your NOC and your Ministry of Sport, they're your financial aid. They provide assistance to support your sustainable growth. They have the training resources, and not all the time they're going to give us money. They also bring in individuals to help train the sporting bodies. So they brought in Sports Canada a few years ago, and which helped us with the long-term athlete development plan. They've also introduced some training through Pan Am Sports for high-performance coaches. So not all the time they're physically giving us money, but they're also giving us education and bringing in technical expertise to help us to grow and be sustainable. Next slide. So again, just aligning with their goals, the strategic coordination, how are we giving back into the community, sharing our strategy that aligns with the initiatives of our sports development plans, helps us to gain valuable sponsors and donors as well. And what will also happen is a lot of and I'll use Bermuda, a lot of the companies in Bermuda are required that are not a local company, but they have grown their business in Bermuda. So I'll use the reinsurance companies. They all have to sign a license. And part of that license involves that they have to give back to the community. So they will go to some of the sporting body and say, what sports needs some assistance? We want to make our donation this year into sports. So I'm not sure what happens in your countries if you have international businesses that have moved into your country and have a requirement based on the law in your country to give back. It may be through sports, and that's another way that you may be able to gain some support through donors and sponsors. The other enhanced impact is when we are guided by international federation goals and can increase the effectiveness and impact on sports programs. And us collaboratively together. I mean, we're getting together tonight on a Zoom call, but when we are together at events or Congress, etc., we're sharing ideas, we're supporting each other, and that's one of the ways that we will be successful in this sport as we continue to impact each other's goals. And resource access. So partnering with other sports can also be a way that you can reduce some of your costs, but also enhance some of your funding initiatives. So we have started to share a location with cycling, which cuts down on some of the costs if we needed to pay for it totally. So it doesn't hurt to have conversations with sports to find out what gym are they using or any sort of building that they're using that you can share with them, and they use it some evenings, use it another evening. It's finding the right resource access is so key, which can reduce costs and allow you to continue to develop your programs. Next slide, Sharon. And this is my last slide. So the pathways to success and growth include strategic management importance, grassroots development, event organization and promotion, partnership and collaboration, and good governance structure. And with this, as you continue to build in your federation, connect the pieces. It takes time. It's not an overnight thing. It took us 10 years to get to where we are today. You will see the fruits of your labor and the success will be there. So thank you very much. I hope I didn't run a relay through this. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but I actually feel like I just ran a relay.
Very good, Trina. Very good. Any questions or anyone talking?
Yeah, I think it was a really good presentation, Trina. I mean, it touched all the real key areas that we need in federations to be successful. And as you said, it takes time to really get where you're at. It really comes down to the federation really trying to put things in place and having that strategic plan or plans to take us to where we need to be.
Yes. Thanks, Sharon. I don't know if Rick has his hand up from the last time when I asked the question, or do you have a new question, Rick?
No, I was raising my hand to confirm that we were in league with our NLC.
Great. That's great to
Awesome
hear.
presentation. Some key points that you bring, some of the stuff we actually need to look into. So awesome presentation, and thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Good night, everyone. Hi, Trina. Excellent presentation. This is Lisa from the Bahamas. And I must say, you really touch on the points that all of us need to enhance our goals and our plans, especially over the next quadrennial. And I found that the point you made about the relationship with our national sports authorities, I thought that was key because we have a well-established relationship with them, and we find that they are actually our partners now. And we share our goals and objectives with them. And as a result, they have really been not only financially supporting us, but also assisting us with planning. And I find that that was so helpful in moving forward. And as a result, we were able to host our first archery in the school national championships this past weekend, which was a
Wonderful.
tremendous success. And so I really, really thank you for this presentation tonight.
And
You're welcome, and thanks.
I find that the presentation, one of the areas that you highlighted, Trina, and I'm just wanted to, again, bring it back up, is the league play and the development of the league play feeding other parts of your programs. It's a structured program, it's engagement, and archers are going to be on a routine basis, which is going to prepare them for tournament level competition. A lot of programs that I see as I travel is that they have practice on Saturday and they don't see the kids again till the next Saturday. And that's not really a strong foundation to be developing intermediate to elite archers in your program. We have a webinar that's coming up, and I think another week, and we're going to be discussing the making of an Olympic archer, and we're going to be talking about a lot of these components. What Trina has presented is excellent. It's a framework, it's an understanding, and it's an engagement by the people that are making decisions and the people that are working with you. So well done. Thank you, Trina.
Thank
Hi,
you.
hi, Trina. Good night, Phil, everyone. Trina, I just want to say thanks for the presentation. It was very comprehensive, and it showed a lot of commonalities that we have throughout the region. And it also gave us a roadmap in terms of items that we have still to build on. So it was an awesome presentation. It was very thorough. And I thank you. Although you felt that you ran a relay, it was very comprehensive in the end. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I guess nobody else had any more questions this evening? Comments? Anybody have any comments about the programs they're running? I see
Hi
Nada's,
everyone.
and
Hi
Nada,
everyone.
you always have something interesting going on in the
Hello,
back.
Phil.
Hello,
It's
sir.
Junior over here.
Glad you're safe and got there. You didn't get in an accident.
Yeah, I just got home.
Hi, Junior. I see you there.
Hi, Phil. Hi, Sergio. Trina, what's amazing. Congratulations. You share all the information, very, very important information. I think all this stuff you talked today is the, you know, all these steps is like archers and coaches didn't see, you know, all the connections with the IOC, with the Sport Institute, and everything. Like all people in the federation need to do to create the right environment for archers and coaches. You know, so I would like to say thank you for all of this information you shared with all of us. Thank you.
You're
I
very
wasn't
welcome.
present. I wasn't present when Trina was delivering the presentation, but I saw the PowerPoint a few days ago, and it's incredible.
Yes.
I couldn't expect anything other than a complete success, because I knew that the information that Trina included was very valuable, and I hope all the national federations use this information as a guideline for them to run their federations. So thank you, Trina. Sorry I wasn't present, but I was sure that there would not be any issues. So thank you again.
So, thank you, and thank you all for allowing me to be here. But again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to support you. We're in this together, and if we want to be successful in the sport and keep it going, we all need to join forces and help to make it work. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Blessings, and I'm gonna take a nap because I still need to catch up from Switzerland.
Go ahead.
Well, good night.
Good job, Trina. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you, Trina.
Good
Good
night.
night, Trina.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Welcome.
again.
Night.